Okay, here we are. We're in the lecture for Design 300. I have turned on the recording. Today is Tuesday the 28th, and we are in a Google Meet for those of you who have joined us. So, in today's lecture, we're going to go over what's up for the week and take a quick look. We are working on flooring on slabs. So this is sort of slab on grade. Not all slabs are on the grade. You can have a slab that's on a raised deck and so on and so forth. But basically it's on concrete, and usually concrete is poured on grade for residential at least. We will be doing a little bit of Revit, as you can see. We've got the two lectures. The recordings will be posted to the YouTube playlist and a link here as soon as we've got them done. Here's our playlist for the week. Let's take a look at it really quick. And we get this into here. And so there's just a little bit of looking at these. They're pretty straightforward. Just to remind you what a slab on grade really looks like. This one is really nice, and it goes into more than just the slab. It's a very, very nice SketchUp version of what's going on. This one you'll probably want to watch fast. They talk about a lot of stuff that you don't need to know, but it goes over how to, for instance, get hardwood floor on concrete, stained concrete floors, and a raise. This is a floor system on concrete, and I've actually done this in my house, not in the garage, but in another area. And so these are just three different ways that you might get a floor system on top of your concrete if you have slab on grade. So those are some of the things to look at that you've got available. Let's see, was I in the wrong one? No, I was in the right one there. So there's YouTube playlist. Our reading list is the flooring systems. There's 3 sheets of it this time. There's one about what do we mean by a flooring system. Okay, and so it's various parts put together. And so here is an example. There's a concrete base, and then there's some sort of a primer and a base coat and a top coat, and those can be all sorts of different things. Here's with thin set and underlayment and floor heating and more thin set and more tile. Here's talking about expansion joints that might be useful. So there's lots of things that go into putting a floor together. Dry sand. Well, isn't that interesting? Top coats and things like that. So it's not just putting something right down on a piece of concrete already. And in general, you will find out that there is some sort of vapor barrier. Vapor barriers keep the water from going up from the ground through the concrete into the building. Okay, and those are sometimes below the concrete, sometimes they're above the concrete, sometimes both. There's often some sort of base structure or subfloor, like it's shown here, that's put down on top of the concrete in some fashion. There's an underlayment, which is usually like a subfloor has some oomph. It's usually some sort of a thicker material that's sort of stiff, that's giving some sort of structure on top of the concrete, on top of the slab. And underlayment is usually some thinner thing that you roll out, is usually what they're talking about. And it's for insulation or vapor or padding or something like that, or here for floor heating. And then there's the finished material itself. That's what we all think of when we say a floor, because that's what we see. And there's many, many types of flooring materials that can go down. So that's sort of the general of a floor system. There can be more parts, there can be less parts. But in general, that's what we often talk about. And then often there's some sort of penetration like you see over here. places where pipes have to come through the floor, or conduit has to come through the floor, or some sort of a hook or supporting member has to come through the floor. But usually there, when we talk about it, there's some sort of a hole in the concrete slab and up through. When I was in, we made what were called in-building risers, because in some cases you're not allowed to have a joint underneath the foundation, so you'd have to make something that came from the outside into the building and rise up, an in-building riser from the outside of the building to wherever this hole was, passing underneath the foundation with no possibility of leaks. And you can imagine why. You don't want to destroy your foundation to fix a leak, and if you're leaking underneath the foundation, you're putting the building in jeopardy. So in-building risers were one of my one of the products that I worked on, and that was water supply. And they also have them for water drain. But there'd be a hole in the foundation, and from underground outside the building, pipes and conduits and cables have to come in and then move up. So that's called a penetration, a place where stuff penetrates your slab. There's also noise mitigation things and environmental control agents or elements. Those are these floor heatings, and you'll see some, if you look it up, you'll see some about that. And then there's a whole area in the master format specs about flooring. And so if we take a look at that, and you'll want to read about that a little bit, but I want to show you, you have to, the master format specs for flooring is under finishes, division 09, finishes. But, and you'll see there's plaster and gypsum board and tiling and ceiling. Oh, and there's flooring. And there's flooring adhesives and treatments and specialty floorings, indoor athletic floorings, masonry, stone. I don't know why. That's special under masonry because stone is masonry. There's wood, resilient. So terrazzo, I actually don't know what terrazzo means. Maybe some of you do. Fluid applied. So there's all sorts of carpeting. There's all sorts of specifications for what type of flooring you're putting in. And these are irrespective of whether it's going down, well, here's for concrete, obviously, but often it's irrespective if it's on concrete or what we're going to do next week, which is a wooden floor system with joists. So this is where you go, and you're not supposed to read all these, but it's good to sort of go through here and know about them just a little bit. So you'll want to click on all of these and scan through them and preview them and just sort of get an idea about them, and that make sure that you've gone to some stuff. Now, I prefer in your submittal not to use the images that I've already got. I want you to find new images. Okay, so I'm going to make that clear. I've been giving you credit for putting in, snips of my image, but that's 5 seconds worth of work, and I don't know that you went to these other ones. So I'm going to be looking now, and I'm making it clear in the lecture that you are to go to these readings and find images based on those, or type in the keyword vapor barrier and find something about that. Okay, so from here on out, I don't want to see just a re-snip of what I've put in. Okay, so please keep that in mind, that you're supposed to go to these and actually take a look at them and kind of read them quickly and in a few minutes and at least get an idea. Usually what I ask people to do is go read the headings So floor materials, sustainable floorings. There's laminate, wood, hybrid. Huh. I wonder what hybrid flooring means. Laminate and vinyl. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Laminate and vinyl. Hard wearing floor. That's kind of cool. It looks like you can go down on concrete, and it looks like it can be made maybe it can be fairly nice looking. Okay, so you should be able to come in here and grab some of these images from here to put into your work. Grab some images from here to put into your work, or even just look this up and come over and look it up and try to see what an image might be. Well, there's some images that have something to do with permeability. Okay, something to do with permeability that you can. There it is. Permeance ratings, vapor retardant materials. Wow. So that's what I'm looking for on that. Let's take a look at this one. Slab on grade floor systems utilized a poured concrete slab as the base structure or subfloor. So that's what I'm talking about here. Okay, and here's a couple of ways that you can see it and some penetrations. And you should be able to get, and again, I don't want to see these images. I want to see other images that you might find from looking in here. And so you might have to come in here. But now I think I took those images from here. You might have to find some other images based on, you might put in something for mechanical floor drains. And look at some, oh, that's a mechanical floor drain. That's a mechanical floor drain. There's a mechanical floor drain. That's a really nice one. It really shows how a floor drain is supposed to work. Okay, so these are just to make sure that you have some knowledge of what some of these are. Okay, and then the last one is material safety data sheets, and I'm not going to go into this a lot. But some of you might know about these, and so I'm expecting that you find out material safety data sheet or safety data sheets, and most operations, businesses, factories, manufacturing plants have to have a safety data sheet for everything that might have a chemical compound on site, so that if something happens, you can look it up very quickly. Okay, and they have to be easily available. So you can look those up. Some people go, well, I hate those things, but they really do tell you a lot. And I've been in situations where I've had to run and look it up and find out what happened when something spills, and can I have people around it, and what happens. So if I was the supervisor on the shop floor of an R&D area, we'd spill stuff and have to pull out the MSDS and find out what we're allowed to do and what we can do. And these are just some things that you should know about. What is a VOC? And I'm going to tell you some of the compounds. Formaldehyde is one of the most common compounds used in the manufacture of building products. Your floors have it. Your trusses have it. Laminates have it. Your clothing has it. Countertops have it. Cabinets have it. Your sofa material has it. Your bedding material has it. Everything is built with formaldehyde type glue. And it is deadly, deadly stuff. Formaldehyde is one of the worst things. And so that's why knowing what happens in a fire is really, really critical. And so those are VOCs, and often there are no VOCs listed on the MSDS because the formaldehyde is tightly bound until something happens. Same with PVC. So you should look up what VOCs are, and that's a huge area of design. You should understand what toxicity means and the difference between toxicity and irritants and allergens. And what is a hazardous common chemical compound? So these are things that you can read to look those up. That is part of what you're supposed to do is read these and look them up. And you might come on to here and try to just find something. You know, VOC, you might have to type in VOC and just find out. There it is, acetone. That's one of the main VOCs. You might put formaldehyde. You might put something like that in there, or something like that in there, and just to show that you've done some work with it. Formaldehyde is nasty, nasty stuff, but it's one of the most useful things that there is. Sometimes the most nasty stuff is the most useful stuff, right? And so here's a really nice one. It's in furniture, it's in flooring, it's in drapery, it's in upholstery, it's in cabinets, it's in insulation. Wow. And that's that new car smell and new home smell. And there are some people that react against these far stronger than other people, so it's just good to know about. Okay, so that's what's in here for you this week, for you to look at and see. And let's take a look and see what's next. So there's your reading list. You've got a resource folder that's got, this in it to look at. You can look, you've got 2 images for slab on grade to look at. There's an empty image, and there's one that shows me finishing it up. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. You're actually going to need to do this. Now, I've seen that a few people are taking images and snips and just putting them in there. Again, I need to see that you have done the Revit file yourself. That's the goal. You'll get partial credit if you at least show something. But the goal is that you've learned how to do this. And this is really important as you move on to other classes. So you will, if you just take a snip of this and kind of show, or if you take a snip of the video where I show it, where it's kind of done, it won't be as good. I'll show you how to do the slab on grade calculations on Thursday, as well as the Revit drawing on Thursday. It won't take you that long. Today we're just going to chat about things. So we'll talk about modules and cost estimates for materials and for labor and how you can build those up. And I'm going to tell you that these cost estimates are, they're not the greatest. You can refine them quite a bit. They're just sort of okay. But this is where you'll go to get your information that I'm giving you to plug in to this area over here. And standard overages, I'll just I've given you some. And that should be 1%. Sorry about that. There you go. Okay, and these labor costs are pretty, I'm telling you, I'm really hokey poke on those. I'm just pulling them out to show. You're not supposed to have to go out and do a full labor cost estimate. So this one shouldn't take you too long, but I want to explain what these mean so that you can find some cost estimates for 2,000 square feet or 1,000 square feet or 100 square feet of flooring. So that's all in this file for you, this folder for you that you can get to. We've got 2 discussion postings again. I think I've got one of them here. So this is, finding spec drawings can be hard. And like, so I went and found them for the city of Davis for you. Took me about 15 minutes to find their spec drawings. And these are civil spec drawings, right? And so, like, if you look at this, you go, what is it? Oh, it's a cul-de-sac. This is how they design cul-de-sac. And this is pretty old, and it's actually not very useful right now, because our garbage trucks have grown since this was made, and garbage trucks can barely operate in this. But you can keep on going, and just pick one and let me know what you think it means. What does it describe? Find 2 or 3 specific design guidelines and your guess as to why they exist. Okay? Most standard drawings are there for a purpose. They're to support a need that the city or the county or whoever is putting it out has. So you want to be able to go to those and just pick one. Pick one. Doesn't matter which one it is. Over here, we're going to start looking at these a little bit more. So I'm telling you, my first interview when I came out of college, I really wanted the job, and it was a horrible interview because I was totally unprepared. Didn't know what to do, didn't know how to do it. And so, crash and burn, crash. So you need some sort of support. Now, some of you might already know how to do this. Some of you might be good at it. But what I'm asking you to do is go to this jobcastbyindeed.com. I'm on Indeed.com, and I get pinged by them. And when they joined up with Jobcast, I looked at it and I go, wow, I think they're pretty good. So when you go to Jobcast, you'll see down here, finding a job, career path, interviewing, how to apply for jobs, career development, biases and barriers. They've got tons of cool, and these usually are about half an hour, and you can put them on fast to make them a little bit slower. So what I'm asking you to do is just go through here and look at the first minute or two, because they always tell you what you're supposed to go over. They're very well done. They don't just start talking. They say, who's giving the podcast, why we might want to listen to them, and then they outline exactly what you're supposed to learn or get out of watching it. So in the first minute or two, you should see that. And so what I'd like you to do is watch the first few minutes of the video, find out about what the learning objectives are, and then make a quick video and list the learning objectives. You can just say them or you can show them, and then note why they might be important. Okay, maybe or not. I guess you could say why they're not important if you picked one that you end up not really liking. But you know what? Even if you don't think they're important to you, they might be important to somebody. Why did they include those? And so this shouldn't take too long, but I think it's really cool stuff, and it'll help you avoid that crash and burn of a job interview. Okay, so there we go. Let's see what else we've got. So now, we'll talk about your skill developments in specific on Thursday. Maybe I'll do the cost estimate today, because we've kind of gotten through here without too much trouble. But let's look at your template. Most of you are picking up good work on here and doing nice job on your visuals and putting things in. Most of you are getting these in here. A few people are not hitting the links within the links. They're just putting down like this. No, you should show that you went to each one of these links and show evidence that you have gone to it. The game is upping just a little bit. I think I told you at the very beginning, I'm so nice for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then I start getting tougher and tougher and tougher. So this is the first time through where I'm going to really be looking. Did you follow the links that were given to you in your readings? Okay, and so here I'm asking for you to look at the floor systems, what it is. Go follow those links to floor systems, what it is, and maybe even find out some stuff out on here. And these are not acceptable images to put in there. That was my work where I went and found it. You're supposed to do your work. But most of you have been doing some pretty nice work there, and I really enjoy reading it. And not next week, but probably the following week, I'll put together a compendium, sort of a compilation of what some people have done. Some of them look so nice. I go, I wish I had those graphic skills. Okay. Same for floor system and master format specs. This will be specific on master format specs. Okay, and this one is about material safety data sheets. So you can do those. Here, what you were given. So you're given a bunch of stuff, and then you can paste your calculations here. Many of you did just a beautiful job on this last week, and I'm hoping to see that continued this week. Here, I'm going to be looking for you to put a new detail on, and in this one, you actually have to draw over the detail and then get rid of it. So remember how I said you don't get to just put in somebody else's image. Usually you have to do a little bit of work. So that's what I'm asking for on this one. There's an image that you can use, and I'm going to show you how to trace over it. And again, it's all on that annotation bar, and it's a really important skill to have, because this is a very, very nice one. Often you'll be given something like this image, and I'll zoom in on it. You'll be given an image like this and then told to, okay, this is great, but we don't have this protective board. We're putting it right down on top. So get rid of this one. And you would have to redraw this. Or they'll say, nope, our rebar, I want a different image in for the rebar. So that's how, or maybe they don't do the mud slab and compacted earth. They just put the gravel down. Okay. This is what we called that compaction. And look, that's not even spelled right. You'd have to go back in and spell that right. Okay, so you're going to get to learn how to get into Revit and do that. And then the last one is, if you can get on, we've got the book and Quilt. Look, that's not even spelled right. They're working on getting me a little video on how people can get into this. About half of you are getting into this without a problem. And so I might have to get some of you to help figure out how to do that. Not super important yet. It will be in about 2 or 3 weeks. Okay? So that's what you're going to get on here. So let me go ahead. Got about 20 minutes left. So let's talk. I think I'd really rather have you read a bunch about this right now than have me talk about it. I'll kind of break it into a different direction, and I'll go here. So I'm going to make a copy of this so I don't ruin this one up. And there we go. So I've got a copy of it here. And this is that idea about modules again. I've got 2,000 square feet, and I know that if I design by 8 foot by 8 foot, I can kind of mix and match little 8-foot squares into most buildings, and I'll waste a little bit here, and I'll need a little bit extra there, and I'll be okay if I do that. Now, some places go 4 foot by 4 foot, and a larger building might go 20 foot by 20 foot. So you have the opportunity of changing this. Might even do 4 foot by 8 foot as you go. Okay. And so this is an input that just says, I'm going to estimate by drawing 8-foot squares to do my layout for my drawing. And up here shows me, let me make this a little bit bigger, shows me how many square feet my building is. Okay. So how many, and look, these don't need to be in the same module size either. Okay. My concrete slab might be in 20 foot by 20 foot pours. And my vapor barrier might come in 16-foot rolls, so I might make it 16 foot. Okay, so there's nothing magical about these numbers that I've chosen other than that they're simple and easy to work with. And they do not necessarily need to be the same all the way across the board. This is just to show you how you can calculate without too much trouble. And so my module size is length times width, right? Area is length times width. And so in this column here, I put length times width. And then I just copied that down. Now, how many modules is it going to be? Well, 2,000 divided by 64, right? If each one is 64, 64 goes into 2,000, or 2,000 is broken up into pieces of 64. 2,000 divided by 64. Now, you'll see that 32 times 64 is more than that. So what did I do? I decided to round up. So that's called a conservative estimate. I'm going to estimate more material because I'm rounding up. Because I can't have 3.25 modules. When I work with modules, I just got them. And so I decided to do something called rounding up. I could round down, or I could round to the nearest 5, right? It's up to you how you want to do it, but I rounded up in this spreadsheet. So as an example, if I did 4 by 8, I've got more modules. If I did 8 by 16, I'd have fewer modules. It calculates for me. Now, what's my material cost per module for vapor barrier? So I've got 64 square foot. Let me look at my cost. Vapor barrier, I have per square foot. Make that a dollar sign. It's 15 cents per square foot. There it is right there. Okay, and of course, every construction project would look up their own vapor barrier and get it their own spot and get their own price and put their stuff in. So every square foot cost me 15 cents. If I come back down here, I can go at equals $0.15. Oops, I have to say equals 0.15 per square foot. So it's 15 cents for each square foot. I have to multiply it by how many square feet per modules times 32 modules, and each square module is 64 square feet. $307. Oh, this is per module. Sorry. It's 15 cents times 64 square feet. And my overage here says it should be 10%. I should buy 10% more. 0.1 is 10%. 0.1 is 10%. And I can click on this and change it to a dollar sign. So each module costs me $4.80. 10% overage. So I'm going to spend about $168 in vapor barrier. So see how that goes? Okay. So the material cost for my protection board is 37 cents per square foot. 37 cents per square foot. Over here it equals 0.37 times however many it is. Okay, so that's how it goes. That's how this keeps going. I can change that to a dollar sign. And I have to go back and look. I'm always going back and forth. Vapor board. 10%. I should order 10% more than I need. 0.1. And change it to a percentage. Okay? So that's how you're going to do it. And it's just going back and forth and click, 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 click. So that's how I do this, and I'm going to end up with a total material cost of something. And this is very common. This is how you do cost estimate. What are the components? How much are you going to use? And how much does it cost? And I'm doing it by module. Very quickly then, I can change it. Huh, isn't that cool? Okay, so there we go. Oops, that should be, I got that one wrong. There we go. Times the square feet, not the number of modules. That's the idea about having spreadsheet calculators. Okay, so you'll do that for all the rest also. You'll need to do that for all the rest of them, and you'll get a estimated total cost. Now let's look at labor. Labor cost per module. Somebody's figured that out per square feet. It's about 15 cents per square feet to lay this down. Somebody's just given us that. Okay? And if you work for a construction company, you've got that all figured out. How much does it cost to lay down this? How much does it cost to do that? How much does it cost to do that? So this was, it equals 0.15 times square feet times how many square feet? Turns out to be kind of the same in this case. And then to put down the vapor barrier, or to put down the drainage board is also pretty cheap. Equals 0.15 times number of square feet. Cost per square feet times how many square feet. Here we go. And again, I click on it and I make it into dollars. So you'll just keep going along there, and you're going to see that pretty quickly the labor costs start getting far more than the actual material costs. Labor costs start outweighing those. Okay, so that's how we do it. That's going to be your slab on grade cost estimate that goes right here. Now, what are you going to put in here? The given is this cost estimate right here. Your costs. Place your estimated costs right here. I'm going to paste it unlinked. Ooh, man, that's not very good. I may need to make an image out of that. So it might be better for me to do that as an image. And so when I do it as an image, I may want to set it up with these things around it here. Things around it here. And then I might want to turn my view of my grid lines off so it looks a little bit better. And then I might need to put a new column to the left and a new row above. Because now I can get a nicer image snip, right? My image snip now gets a little bit nicer. Come on, I know I can resize you. There we go. So you might do something like this and then paste your calculations over here. And you can play around with how that looks, and you many of you do just beautiful work on doing the graphics behind this. But this shows, right? You're given some information and then you'll paste your calculations over here. Okay, so that's how you're going to do your cost estimates. And it gives you material and labor. So in your summary, it's material and labor. Okay, and this is very simplified, by the way. It can get far more complex, or some places they just know, when I put that down, that kind of a floor, it's per square foot, because they've got all of this experience already. And don't know why I lost that. change back to length. And there are other things that you might want to do. You might want to look things like this that were given to you that are just inputs, right? These are sort of inputs. Inputs are usually listed as sort of an orange. It's a little too dark. Orange with dark gray and bold. And you can even make them bigger. So that often works, and you might want to do some work in here to sort of make this look really good if you feel like it. Titles and headings are often a dark gray with white. So that often happens. Okay, these are now calculations. All of these would be some sort of a calculation. Those are usually a light gray with a dark, bold. So now people can see really quickly, okay, this is where the action is of what happened. Okay, and again, these ones are, let's see, these are inputs also. Oh, these are calculations also. So I can do the same thing. Okay, now you've got, again, a really nice looking layout. If you want to, you can again turn off your grids. Click, right click, insert one to the left. And I think I'll just move that down one. Now I've got, oops, this one has to reset. Here we go. Now I've got another one that's pretty nice looking image that you can work with. I'm doing Control C and Control V. Something like that is probably okay. Okay, this one's size kind of taking over the other one a little bit. And that one needs the draw order. To bring to the front. Having a hard time catching that one. Go. So you might have something that looks like this, and you can do a little explanation up here of what you're talking about and what happened. Would be a really nice spot. Might be a really nice spot to put that. And if you want to, you can even change its color just a little bit, maybe to a something like that. Now you've got a pretty good looking presentation going. Okay, so there we go. That is the lecture for Design 300 for today. And I'll look forward to seeing everybody on Tuesday. On Thursday. And if you have any questions about what we covered today, you can shoot me a question via email and or in the canvas, and I'll see if I can answer them on Thursday. There we go.